Who you choose to make your life partner is the most important decision you will make in your entire life. You take a lot of risk when you invest your time, your money, and your energy into a woman that you could be spending on other things like your business or yourself. So, how can you know that she's going to be the right woman and that you're going to be good enough that she's never going to leave you because you've got a really successful relationship? Well, it's actually quite simple, and it doesn't even have to compromise with being romantic. Here are the only three things you need to know as a man in order to have a successful relationship. The very first thing you need to do, and this is the most important step, all the other steps don't matter if you don't do this, is you need to choose a woman who chooses you. The biggest mistake that men make in dating is they don't actually pick a woman who actually likes them. And I get why this happens. You know that she's not right for you, but you need the sex, you need the intimacy, and she might be your only option right now, so you're not going to give that up. When she inevitably asks, "What are we?" you're going to double down and commit because you're afraid of losing that sex and that intimacy and the other perks of having a woman in your life. And she probably does the same. She knows that you're not right for her. Maybe she's hung up on an ex that she still likes, but she's lonely and she wants the stability and intimacy of a relationship. You're not her first choice, but you might be a guy who gives her what she wants, and you could be her best option right now if she wants to get married and have kids before her biological clock runs out. And if she's really sly, she'll know that if it doesn't work out and she gets bored in 10 years, she can divorce you and take half your stuff and the kids. So she decides to settle. And both of you have decided to settle. And can you see how that is just an awful basis for any relationship? And the worst part about this is that nobody wants this. Nobody thinks, I can't wait to just settle for the most convenient option in my love life. Nobody says that. Most men have this wonderful idea of meeting a beautiful woman who loves you for who you are, not what you materially have to offer. And I think the spirit of this has really been lost in our modern dating culture. You know, women earn basically as much as men now. They certainly have the capability and the opportunity to do so. But they still have this expectation that a man should be the provider and a man should earn more than them and should look after them. How are you supposed to attract a woman, let alone keep her, if she doesn't actually need you? The answer is making sure that she actually likes you for who you are. Financial equality has actually made romance and genuine desire a much more important part of dating and relationships. Obviously, you still need to have yourself sorted financially and you need to keep yourself in shape and make sure your lifestyle is really good, but you should be doing that for yourself anyway. I'm proposing that you don't have to give up on your ideal of finding a woman who likes you for who you are. You just have to adjust your expectations to the practical realities of life. Because otherwise, you risk committing to a woman who doesn't think you're her best option, and then there's always this potential that she could just blow up the relationship. Practically speaking, what finding a woman who loves you for who you are means is finding a woman who chooses you and who thinks that you are her best option and the pinnacle of any possible option that she could ever get. You should only commit to a woman who thinks you are the greatest man on the planet and the absolute pinnacle of men on earth that she could possibly get. Because if you do this, she will, to the extent that any human being can, love you for who you are. She'll accept your flaws as just quirks in your personality. She'll hear your vulnerabilities and treasure them as gifts that you basically give to her and maybe even nobody else. And if other men come along with other propositions that she might even find attractive, she doesn't really give them more than a second's thought because she knows that you are the best thing that she could get and she's proud of that. Choose a woman who chooses you. You must make that an uncompromising quality of any woman that you commit to. Coming on to point number 2, Once you've found a woman who's into you and actually chooses you, you need to have a lifestyle that you really like and are really comfortable with that you can bring her into. The second worst mistake that men can make in dating is making a woman the sole center point of their entire life. And the problem here is simple. She's attracted to you because of what you do now and the lifestyle that you have now. If you suddenly change all of that and let it go, of course she's going to fall out of love with you. Because you're not doing the things that made her attracted to you in the first place. If I put it brutally, you change from this sexy, attractive, exciting man into a yes man who gives her everything that she wants and has no interests or passions or desires of his own. And the only thing less attractive than a man who doesn't know who he is a man who has given up who he is to please his woman. There's 3 things that you can do to avoid this happening. Number 1 is that you've got a clear idea of what you want from your life and you're pretty happy with that. And you know that she's on board with that and is happy to come into that. It can sound like I'm being a bit harsh here, but I'm not telling you to be an uncompromising tyrant who's avoidant and goes, it's my way or the highway, get out of here. That's not what I'm saying to do at all. That is dumb, it is controlling, and it is manipulative. And if you've chosen a woman who chooses you, you don't need to manipulate her to make her stay with you. And if you want a relationship, you need to come willing to make some compromises and to work together with your woman to create a relationship and a life together that works for both of you. What I am saying here is get really clear on what you're not willing to compromise on and be a leader in your relationship so that she can feel comfortable integrating into that. The key here is to be honest about what you authentically like to do and just be living that life already. If you're comfortable with it, she'll be comfortable with it, and you're all good. And speaking of being comfortable, the second thing is that you've got to get comfortable saying no to her and letting her down. One of the hardest things for a man to do is to say no to a woman. You want to be her superhero. You don't want to make her cry. But sometimes there are things that you can't compromise on, like your business goals or your life purpose. And your woman might not be happy about that. But she would rather that you go and do that thing rather than give it up just to please her. It's okay for you to say no and to disappoint her. She's a grown woman, she can take it. Her feelings are her property. Your property is to be honest with her about the things that you need and that you can't compromise on. After all, she is the most important person in your life. You do need to be able to tell her those things. And of course, this works the other way too. She will have things that she cannot compromise on, and it's your job to find a way to make that work for you and find a way to make it work together. It's called healthy communication. And thirdly, and this is the most important one, you need to find other ways outside of the relationship to get your needs met. There's this huge flaw in modern dating, which is really about how we set modern society up, in that we are conditioned to believe that our partner should be everything for us, which is absurd. For most of human history, we lived in small, tight-knit villages where we had a community and lots of relationships where we could get our needs met from multiple different people, not just our romantic relationship. But nowadays, we're very isolated and insular, and there's this cultural expectation that your partner should just meet all of your needs, you and them together, that's it. So in a sense, your partner has to now be the entire village. She's got to be a good wife, a good mother, your best friend, someone you have intellectually stimulating conversations with, a beautiful lover in the bedroom, and also someone that you take the trash out with and do the household chores with, and that's just naming a few. Putting that whole expectation just on one person is totally unrealistic and puts way too much pressure on the relationship. You can have everything with one person, but you can't have it all at the same time. The solution here is to identify the needs that can only get met in your romantic relationship, and then the needs that could potentially be met by other people, and outsource those needs. to your friends and your family and your colleagues. This puts less pressure on your partner and allows your relationship to play to its strengths. And that wraps up point 2 of having a lifestyle that you enjoy, a reality that you create and you love, and that you can bring her into. And it brings us to the third thing that you need to do in order to have a successful relationship with a woman, which is to never stop growing and investing in yourself as a man and in the relationship. You must keep evolving yourself as a man and growing and giving fresh energy into your relationship. Change is inevitable in life, and it will happen in your relationship as well. And as human beings, we have this desire where we're always on the lookout for the next new thing. And if you're not actively creating yourself to be the next new thing, your woman is going to notice that and she's going to start causing trouble. And that trouble is a brilliant sign because it's her telling you, hey, where did my smart, handsome, sexy husband go? What are you doing? Her complaining is a sign that she values you and she wants you to be your best self. You're her best option, remember. She chose you. And it's also important because she's probably looking up to you for the standards that you set for yourself and for the relationship and for her. And so if you're constantly evolving and you're not going to settle for stagnation, then that also shows her that she needs to be constantly evolving and growing too. In terms of keeping the relationship fresh, the thing you need to know is that you always need to be giving your woman something to look forward to that she wants. There's a natural pace to relationships where this kind of happens. You meet, you give her commitment, then you might say, I love you, then you might move in together, then you propose to her and give her a big ring, then you give her a beautiful wedding, then maybe you give her a bigger house, then you give her a baby, maybe a second baby, and can you see how the list kind of runs out after that? And if you don't keep finding new things to give her that she wants, the only thing that you can give her left is a divorce. The good thing is that if you followed steps 1 and 2, then number 1, you've already chosen a woman who chooses you, and number 2, you have a brilliant lifestyle that you like and you've brought your woman into that, then you already know what you can be giving her and how you can be giving it to her. You've already created such a deep bond, and you already know what's important to her. So you can listen out to what she's saying and find the best way to make sure that you can give that to her. It might be a holiday or a new kitchen or a dance class. It doesn't have to be something big. It just has to be something that she wants and that is meaningful to her. A pro tip here is don't play your hand too quickly and give her everything that she wants too soon. Remember what I said about not being afraid to disappoint her. You want to draw it out a bit, which not only makes it easier for you, but it also leaves her in that feeling of wanting for a little bit longer, which then makes it all the sweeter when she does finally get it. Remember that desire is that gap between wanting something but not actually having it. And that applies to how much she gets to have you as well. So to summarize, here are the 3 things that you need to do if you want to have a successful relationship with a woman. Number 1 is choose a woman who chooses you and who thinks you're her best option. Number 2 is have a brilliant lifestyle that you already really enjoy and then bring her into that while you find other ways of getting your needs met outside of the relationship. And number 3 is always continue growing and working on yourself and investing in the relationship. And make sure to always be giving her something to look forward to. If you enjoyed this video, then please hit like and subscribe if you want more content like this. Thank you very much for watching. I wish you all the best on your dating journey, and I'll see you again soon.